Hello everyone, welcome to this tutorial where we'll be teaching you about Git and GitHub, right? So this is going to be a beginner's tutorial, right? So if you're a beginner, you don't know how to use Git, I'm going to teach you some of the basic commands that you need to know, that you need to get started, and also wrap your head around Git and GitHub, right? So first, let's talk about what is Git, right? So Git is basically a free open source version control system, right? And it allows you to track changes to source code and its development history. Right, so just take a look at Git as something that you can make use of to track your code history. Right, so let's say you made changes in the last 2 years in your code base, right? So you can go ahead to check that changes that you made in the previous year, right? So Git helps you to do that, right? So one thing you also have to know is GitHub, right? So GitHub is just a web-based platform that allows developers to collaborate code, share progress, and manage projects, right? So just take a look at GitHub as a social media handle out there. So let's say Instagram, TikTok, one of those out there, right? So Instagram, you get to post your stories, you get to post your pictures and videos, right? That's for content creators and that's for influencers, right? So GitHub is also for developers. So GitHub is just a place where you can share your code, right? Share your progress on how you are doing with your code and everything you're developing, right? So just take a look at GitHub as a social media platform for developers, right? So to get started, what you want to do is to download Git. If you don't know how to download Git, just go ahead to search for Git download. So you can download according to your system spec. If you want a step-by-step tutorial on how to download Git, I have a video right here. You can check that out. Also, you'd have to sign up for GitHub, right? So if you have a GitHub account, just go ahead to sign up for GitHub. And lastly, one thing we're going to use is VS Code. Right, so go ahead and download VS Code according to your spec. So if you are using Windows, download Windows. If you are using Mac, go ahead to download that. So let's take a look at what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to take you guys on the basic Git command, right? So Git init, initialize the Git repository. If you don't know what that is, we're going to get to explore that, right? So Git add, Git commit, right? To save changes, Git clone repository URL, right? To clone a repository, we're also going to do that. And also, we're also going to Git push, upload changes to GitHub, and Git pull to download changes from GitHub. So without any further ado, let's just get started. Go ahead and open your VS Code. And what I want you to do is to go ahead to create a new file, right? So go ahead to open a new folder. And you can go ahead to create it in any way you want. I'm just going to go ahead to create that in my document, my new folder. I'll name it Git Basics, right? So when that's done, select folder and open it, right? So for this tutorial, I'm going to be using Python because Python is a very simple language that everyone should know, right? So go ahead and create a new file. So this I'm going to name it app.py, right? So what I want you to do now is to open your terminal. To do that, go ahead, click on terminal and open new terminal, right? So if you have Git already installed, if you search for Git, you're going to see Git bash, right? That's it, Git bash. You can open it and you can to confirm if your Git is installed. You can go ahead and type Git dash version to show you the current version of Git that you're using, right? So I have Git installed on my system, and also I'm going to be using Git bash in my terminal. So go ahead and select Git bash. And just a click from here. All right, so from here, so you're going to see Git bash. That's my default. Right? So I'm going to just type hello world. So let's print hello world. So you can see that we have this file now, right? So currently it's not being tracked. So if my system gets stolen or if I misplace this file somewhere, obviously it's not kept somewhere on the cloud or anywhere, right? So first thing that we want to do is we would want to make Git track this particular file that we just created, right? So go ahead to type Git init in your terminal, right? So you want to make sure they're in the correct path, document, then Git basics, which is the folder that we just created, right? So go ahead to type Git init and click enter. So you can see that we have initialized empty Git repository in C users, HP documents, Git basics, and just Git, right? So Git is already initialized here now, right? And to confirm that it's initialized, you can see that it's showing green here. and it's showing you on track. So that means we've not uploaded the file yet. We've not added the file to Git, right? So we just initialize Git only, right? So, and the next thing you'd want to do after you've initialized the repository is to add that file, right? So you're going to tell Git, oh, okay, so I've initialized you. Now I want to add you to track, right? So you can track the app.bike now. So to do that, you guys type git add. Now you can add dot, right? So what dot means is you're going to add all the files that are available under this Git basics, right? But let's go ahead to add a particular file that we want to upload, which is what app.py, right? Let's go ahead to do git add app. And if you click on the app, it's going to auto-complete this for you, right? Click enter, right? So the next thing that you want to do after you've added your particular file is to tell Git the message, right? You have to drop a commit message. Okay, you've added the file now. So why did you add that file, right? So that's why it's still showing green, right? So now to type in a message, I'm going to do git commit -m, right? Now inside this quote, right, I'm going to type in the message that you have for Git, right? And what's the message that we have for Git? So first commit, right? So this is our first ever commit to Git, right? So go ahead to click enter. So you can see that after you've added it, you can see one file change, right? One insertion, which is correct. Inserted this print hello world, right? This print hello world here. And also created node 100644 after spy. You don't need to know what that is. That's just a unique identifier for Git dash for Git tracking our file, right? So after you've added your file, one thing that you want to do next is to basically go ahead and push your code to GitHub, right? So remember I said you have to upload your code to GitHub to make it in the cloud, right? So you can access your file anywhere you want in the world, right? So now we'll go ahead to GitHub. If you've created an account, guys, you should see something like this. But go ahead to click here. Network is kind of slow, that's why. And click on repository, all right? So once you click on repository is just like a place where you can post your code, right? It's just a repo where you can store all your code base, right? You go ahead to click on new. I'm just going to bring you to this user interface, right? So first thing you'd want to do is to type in the repository name that you want to create. For us, I'm going to name it Git Basics, right? So Git, I'm going to put dash here just to separate it here. So Git dash basics. You can add the description if you want, public or private. If you keep it public, that means everyone can see it. And also, if you keep it private, that means you just want only you, right? Just specifically by you, private. I'll go ahead and leave it as public, and I'll leave this and add the readme file. So if I leave this, it's going to go ahead to show me the commands that I need to run locally, right? So I'm just going to leave everything as default here and click on create repository. All right. So you can see now we've created the repository. The first thing that I want to do is to do git init, which we've done, right? So git add readme, and basically we added the file that we modified, not this readme.md. So readme.md is just a markdown file, a readme file, right? That can help people, that can tell people about what the particular repository is about. So first thing, when they come to your repository, you want to introduce them to a nice readme, right? So I'll go ahead to show you how you can also add a readme quickly. So the next thing you want to do is git commit -m, first commit, which we've done. -m means the message that you're adding, which we've done beside this code, right? So git branch -m main. So if your branch is basically masters, you can go ahead to copy this code, right, to see, right? Because mine is main automatically, but if yours is showing masters here, you can go ahead and paste this code and enter, right? So what it does is basically just rename the branch from master to main, right? So okay, so after that, you go ahead to add the remote repository. So what this line is just trying to do is we're trying to add this particular URL, right, to our local Git, just to tell it that we already have a cloud bit where we are storing this particular projecting, right? So I'll go ahead and paste that. So after I'm done, click on enter. So you can see it's showing blue. So that means that's run successfully. The next thing you want to do after you've added this to your local Git, right? So you go ahead to copy this command, git push dash u origin main. What this line is trying to tell you is we're trying to push, right? We're trying to upload our local file to our origin branch main, right? So basically, branches are just different sections in a particular um, code base, right? So I'll go ahead to go to my terminal now. I type git push dash u origin main, right? All right, so we made a mistake here. So origin, enter, right? So you can see, guys, sorry, the light went up. We're back now. So you can see that we successfully pushed our code to GitHub, right? So if we go ahead to open our particular repository that we created now, I'll go ahead to refresh, and we should see that we have our Git basics here, right? So you can see the app.py that we created. Let's go ahead to open it. All right, guys, so you can see we have our hello world here, right? And if you want to see the changes, right, that we made, you go ahead to Insights, go ahead to click on Networks. So, right, so timeline of the most recent commit of this repository and its network ordered by most recent push to, right? So if you go ahead to click on this, you can see, right? So go ahead to click on that. So you can see, right? Up.5 was empty before when we started and we added this hello world, right? So let's go ahead to do another um, commit, right? So what I want you to do now is to create a README file, right? So a README file is going to be capital letter README, right? .md. So like I said earlier, a README file is about a particular repository, right? That you are working on or that you've worked on, right? So I'm going to go ahead to write git basics. You can go ahead to add more text if you want to, right? But in Markdown, there's something we call H1, H2, and so on and so forth, right? So it's called header 1, header 2, and header 3. So if you use just one hash, right, it's going to turn out to be in heading 1. So that's the biggest heading you can have on Markdown, right? So guys, what I want you to do now is to pause this video, right? So I want you to add this README file to Git, right? So after you've added it, I want you to commit, right? So after you've commit, then I want you to push to GitHub and check if your changes reflect on GitHub. So pause this video and come back to it if you are done. All right, so I hope you were able to solve it. And if you were not, just join me along. It's very simple and straightforward. So first thing we want to do is to what? Add, right? So git add. What are we adding? Right? So adding the README file. So don't forget tab autocomplete. And you're going to add your message, right? So git commit -m. So what's the message about adding, right? To add a readme for my repo, right? So we go ahead and close the code and enter. So don't forget, after we've added the file, we need to push to GitHub. So git push -u origin what main, right? Don't forget, so I'm working with the main branch for now. So enter. So right, we're having a mistake here. So git push. I'm using my glasses, that's why. So git push, so -u origin main. Enter. Ah, okay, so git push -u origin. Next one, I'm going to use my glasses. Then, so enter. This should work, right? This should work. So let's wait for it to. Okay, so it has added it successfully. And one thing I want to know is if you are doing this for the first time, it might ask you to add your username and your email, which you should do. Right, so it might ask you to do like git config dash name. So just go ahead to do that. It's pretty simple and straightforward. If you are stuck, just go ahead and do Google search, you're going to get it. Very simple and straightforward. Just me, guys. So let's go ahead to our GitHub now and check if the changes are reflected. Right. So I'll go ahead to my GitHub. Right. Let's go back to the Git basics. So Git is very, very useful, guys. Even senior developers make use of it now, right? So you can see that there's a README file now, right? Git basics, right? So it's very simple and very straightforward. And if you go ahead to our insight, right, and we go ahead to our network, right? So we're going to see the changes that we made next. You can see we have 1 or 2 commits and stuff like that there, right? So 2 commits now, right? So the first commit was the first one we added hello world, and the second commit was where we added the README file, right? So let's wait for it to load. You can see the second commit, which is what add the README for my repo, right? And if you click on it, you're going to go ahead to see the changes that we made, right? So if you want to clone this repository now, all you have to do is to go to the repository that you want to clone. So if you want to clone any particular Git repository, you have to go to the code first and come here and click on copy this, right? Copy URL to clipboard. And all you have to do to clone a repository is to go to your terminal, git bash or Windows terminal. Just go ahead to type git clone, right? So git clone, then you paste the name of the URL that you want to clone, right? So you can go ahead to clone it in any particular folder that you want, right? So let me just go ahead to show you the example of how to clone a particular Git repository. Um, so you go ahead to open a new terminal and just go back to let's go to CD, go back to my desktop. CD, desktop. So I'm just going to do git clone, right? Then the name of the URL I want to clone. So git clone and the name of the URL that you want to clone, right? So enter. So you can see cloning into Git basics, right? So you see it's done. So once it's done, all you have to do is to go ahead to the particular folder that you clone, which is Git basics. So to do that, you don't have to cd Git basics. That's it. Enter. So to open the VS Code folder, all you have to do is to do code dot, right? So once you do that, it's going to open the particular VS Code code that you are working, that you clone. So you can see it's the same thing, right? So I'm just going to go ahead and just close this, right? The last thing I would want us to do before I finish this video is to show you how you can pull from your branch. So let's say you go ahead to make changes from here now. So let's say you edited this. Let's go ahead to edit this particular readme, right? So let's add something to this readme. All right, so I'll just go ahead to add additional text there. I'll just say Git tutorial, right? So a Git tutorial, this tutorial. I'll just go ahead to commit change I made. So I was going to say I updated the readme, right? Update readme. So commit change, right? So you can see that once we go back to our particular position now, you can see that we have Git basics, right? A Git tutorial. But if you go back to our particular VS Code, right? So you can see we still have Git basics here. It's not being updated, right? So to update your local code base, all you have to do is to go ahead to type git pull, right? So what this does is it go ahead to GitHub and it pulls the changes that is on GitHub and checks if there are some changes that are different from the local and the one on cloud, and it tends to match them together, check if there are changes and update your local code base, right? So I'm just going to go ahead to type git pull and enter. So once I click enter, it's going to fetch the changes, and you can see now that we have a Git tutorial, right? So guys, so that will be the end of this tutorial. I hope you learned about Git and GitHub now, right? So you can go ahead to play with this. Obviously, there are more commands, there are more Git commands out there, but as you go ahead to write code, as you go ahead to use GitHub, you're going to get to use them more often, right? So, and I want you guys to always make use of Google with your friend, right? So whatever you're looking for, somebody have faced that before, you can go ahead to search for that on GitHub. So with that being said, that'll be the end of this video, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.